frame in there. There we go. That's a good frame. Oh, hello Twitch chat. When I am defending in a choke like Hanamura of Oscar, I have my barriers down. What's the right thing to do? Face the enemy team, hide behind a corner. Hide behind a corner. Don't die. Like, if your shield goes down and you just stand there in the choke, haha, my name's Reinhardt, you're going to fucking die. And if your barrier visibly explodes, just tuck in. The reason why is actually pretty simple as well. It's because you're setting up for your charge. As well. So let's take Hanamura, for example. We've got the gate here, and you got like the doorway over this way, and you got like the little area over here you can hide into. This is a very scrappy drawing. Made the door super thick. Okay, and you got like this area here, and then you got like the little thing here, and the steps. Like, you get the idea. Okay, this is Hanamura. Sure, you guys all recognize lovely Hanamura. This is the main gate. If your barrier goes down, you either run over here and just hide in this room, or you run over here and hide in this room. Because what that means is that when the enemy tank comes forward, let's get a nice yellow for him. He's going to be like pushing through here. And what you're looking to do is wait until he gets to about here. And then you can come in for an aggressive charge. And it means that your charge is going to end either here, or like over here. And you've just pulled him into your team. You're not ending up... Because if you do it the other way, get rid of these. Whoop. Come on, go. Yep. If you try and do it the other way, where like their Reinhardt is stood over here, and you go for the charge, you're going to end up all the way back here, like with the wall there, and there's going to be like a roadhog here, and he's going to have his big hook out. Okay, that looks terrible. It looks like a hat. There we go. It's roadhog in a hat. Give him a pig nose. Big belly. Like, and he's got his hook out, and he's just waiting, and he's going to go, oh, free kill, hook, bang, dead. And then you're going to die, and it feels bad, man. So just pull back, recharge your barrier, and if their Reinhardt comes in, punish him with a charge. Just be very careful about ending up in bad locations. The same thing is true for like King's Row. Exactly the same sort of choke point situation. You pull back in, you wait for him to come through the choke, you charge him as he comes in. Or you just pull back further towards the point. It's harder on Hanamura because you don't really have much space to pull back with. It's a butt. No. It's a roadhog. It's just a roadhog with a very weird snout. Anyway. Let's see. God, chat was scrolling down that entire time, wasn't it? Orisa has been in the game for a while now. Any thoughts about how she should be played? Very carefully is how I would say it. I think she needs a slight buff to really be like as good as Reinhardt. And I definitely, my voice is gone. Like I've got a... Can you hear how weird that sounds? Because there's like a air bubble in my throat. There we go. I will definitely play her with a Reinhardt right now, just because she doesn't provide enough flexibility of her own. She kind of needs the extra protection. Make sure that you are never ever exposing your head when you don't have Fortify, is the one thing I would say with Orisa. Like, the second that you are putting that big melon out there, you're just dying. You just go down like a sack of bricks, and it hurts, and yeah. Ugh, indigestion still. So yeah, feels bad, man. So that's the big thing I'd be careful with. And then just like bully their Reinhardt, put damage into his barrage, pull people about using the right click a lot, and then go with that. How do I encourage my team to take advantage of the opportunities I'm providing by making picks and other such players as Rein? In general, as Reinhardt, it's very rare that you're going to be making huge picks. You'll occasionally get people with fire strikes, and then it's just like, yeah, guys, let's start pushing in. And it's making calls like that, like, yeah, let's push forward. And then you just start advancing forward towards their Reinhardt and start forcing a fight to happen. That's sort of what you're aiming to do. If you get a big Earthshatter, for example, like if you're getting a big Earthshatter but no one's around to capitalize on it, then, you know, if a Reinhardt Earthshatter's in the woods but no one's there to kill people, does he actually make an ultimate? The answer is no, he makes a fool of himself. So there's your dose of philosophy. But yeah, it's like opportunities you make as Reinhardt are usually pretty blatant and obvious. Like, you've either charged their Reinhardt, so their barrier is gone. You've either Earthshattered their entire team. You've either fire strike someone and someone's died. In which case, again, tell the team, okay, guys, let's move forward and let's move in. And then the team should be starting to rally around you or do something. The big thing I will say is with Earthshatter, this thing over here, when it is available, is a really good time to tell a team, okay, guys, I have Earthshatter, just kill their Reinhardt barrier. I will Earthshatter them, and we will win the fight. it works so well because people kind of do like to be told what to do. I know it sounds weird, and I know you have some people going, who put you in charge? What the fuck? But if it's something that simple and obvious, people will generally go, that's a pretty good idea, and they will follow through with it. If they don't, then whatever. Most of the team probably will anyway, and damage should be going onto the barrier. Play conservative with yours so that you don't get Earthshattered in response. Break their barrier, watch their Reinhardt scurry away with his tail between his legs, and then fucking Earthshatter their entire team and win a fight. Like, it's a very simple call to do, but it's something that's so important, and more Reinhardt should do it. If solo Zarya ults were a flavor of ice cream, what would they be? It would be like getting an ice cream as someone like Bristol or Blackpool Beach or anywhere with a lot of seagulls. Okay, and you get your nice like Mr. Whippy, you know, like the really light fluffy ice creams. You got like a 99 flake in as well. It's got like a chocolate bar, a like chocolate thing. I don't know if 99 flakes is a thing elsewhere in the world. But you got, you know, your fucking lovely Mr. Whippy ice cream. It's like smooth ice cream. It's delicious. You're going in and you're thinking, holy shit, this ice cream's going to be this. And a seagull flies in and rips it the fuck out of your hands. That's the Zarya. Because it's a delicious ice cream. It's a graviton surge. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a delicious treat. And then just disappointment strikes and everything is fucking ruined as you get mauled by something stupid. Like someone firing off a graviton surge at a really bad time. When playing as Rein, this happens time to time where your team wants to push, your team wants you to push in, but their barrier is not very thin. How do you explain to DPS that first they need to put the enemy barrier under stress? You don't necessarily need to sometimes. If they are winning the barrier war, and like, you know, if you're on like 500 and he's on 1500, then you might want to tell them, okay, wait a sec, I'm going to recharge my barrier, then we'll push. Just keep pressure on there so they can't recharge. Sure. Just tell them that. Just tell them, no, I'm going to wait and get my barrier back up, otherwise we're just going to lose. And people will generally go, okay, fair enough. Usually. If they run in on their own, then you go, well, I told you. Like, I need to recharge my barrier. My barrier is going to die regardless, so I have to recharge it. If you're in a situation where it's like, they are 2,000 hit points, you're 2,000 hit points, you can honestly still force on them. Like, if you fire struck through, right, and you've killed one of their team, and you start pushing forward, their Reinhardt has to start walking back and walking back and walking back, and that's literally like you winning a fight. You're gaining ground. And eventually, if you especially have a Lucio speed boost, you will catch up to him, and then you will just push through him. You can charge him, you can start smacking him with your hammer as long as he doesn't have Earthshatter. You can just take a couple of wallops at him. Your team will start wrapping around him and start killing him. You don't necessarily have to be ahead on the barrier wall to force a fight. You can actually just walk in and do it. But I do like the rhyming scheme. It is appreciated. Josh, in low rank, bronze, silver, and gold, it's common for the team positioning to be way far forward in my experience. So when do you just go with a team and throw everything you know about positioning out the window to be with your team? If like two people are pushing the payload and your team is like camping their spawn, then you can afford to go for it, because by the time that they've killed everyone on the spawn, you should be reinforcing back on the payload, if that makes sense. So like in King's Row, for example, is a very good example, where the spawn on the third point of King's Row is like all the way over here somewhere, right? And if you think about the distance between the spawn and the start of the payload route, it's enormous. So if you're pushing that payload and just going through the streets with like 2 people on it, you've got 4 people on the spawn, even if they kill you at the spawn, you're going to reinforce onto the payload. And so it's okay. Like then it's kind of okay. When it's not okay is when like everybody leaves the payload and you've got one person pushing it, and then everyone just dies and loses the fight. Like, you've got to be stomping to do that kind of stuff. And in general, like as Reinhardt, you want to be very careful about pushing that far forward. And at times, when people do that, I generally just am the one on the payload. I'm going to take the safe decision, and I'm just going to gain as much ground as quickly as possible and go as far as I can, unless I am playing like Genji, unless I'm playing Widowmaker as well, is actually a good example of a hero that should be going a bit further forward, just to try and make it hard for the enemy team to push back in. Genji can do it as well, because he can move around very easily, he can escape very easily, Tracer can do it as well, Pharah can do it as well. These are good heroes for sort of poking forward a bit, because you can pull back and get out very easily. If you're playing like Roadhog, for example, be very careful about making that decision, and in general, you want to be staying with the payload. Just guarantee your team the win, basically, is what I would say. They're like, half your team's going for a risky play. If you just say, well, no, I'm pushing the payload as far as we can get it, it's up to you guys to pull back sensibly. The mistake's on them, not on you. When you're pushing through a choke like Hanamura's Rein, is it better to be aggressive and walk through, or wait for the team to get a pick? It depends on how much time is left, and depends on what team you're running. If you're running a team with like a Widowmaker, you can afford to wait to get a pick. If you're running a team with like a Roadhog, Reaper, Junkrat even, Farah, anything like that, any high damage output teams, then try and win the Reinhardt war, like the barrier war, because as an attacker, you have initiative. Your team can just keep poking and poking and poking. You can rest your barrier while their barrier is getting shot down, and then you can start pushing in with more barrier than them. When you do start the push, though, go fucking aggressive. Do not stand in choke points, ever. It's a nightmare situation. King's Row was always a bastard for it, so we've got King's Row here. This is the fountain with Mondata. Let's draw Mondata's head. Got like 9, he has the 9 dots, right? Except one of them is like a big circle, because that's where Widowmaker blew his brains out. And then he's got his face here. Okay, so this is the Mondata statue. It's behind my head. There you go. Isn't it beautiful? When you're pushing in here, like, you want to be positioning around here while poking, and then when the push starts, you want to get straight in and go straight through. You put your barrier across here and you just move this way, and your team should be following you. Or alternatively, if you have advantage, then you start pushing straight in and you can start going this way. But the point is, you do not do what some Reinhardts do, especially at lower ranks, which is you just stand in the choke point, because you're not gaining ground and you're not going anywhere, but your team is just getting hammered by all of their DPS. And your team can't do anything intelligent with their positioning because they're all just stuck standing back here. And they're not shooting anything. Well, when you start getting around here, they can use this for cover, and they can start pushing around and ranging around the fountain, which is sort of getting hidden by the microphone, but you get the idea. They can start pushing around more and more and more. Or if you start going in here, they can start splitting off and going through the hotel, doing some stuff over there. So you're suddenly opening options up. Don't ever stand in a choke point. It's not a good place. What's the best tip for Reinhardt on attack? Take control of the barrier wall. Is the biggest tip I'll give you. Remember, like, the enemy Reinhardt has no say in when you're attacking. At all. He can't determine it. He can't say, whoa, hold on, guys, I need to rest my barrier. So what you try and do is you try and, like, the first meeting you have, you go face to face with him, you put your barrier up, he puts his barrier up. Your team does 1,000 damage, their team does 1,000 damage. You pull back and you recharge, and you let your team deal damage from the medium range and keep hammering his barrier. And then you come back with a 2,000 hit point barrier, his barrier's on 500, and then you just push in and win. And that's sort of how you should be thinking about it. I've got to take control of the barrier wall, and then push him when he's low. If your team can't get it low, like if you're running a very heavy dive comp, if you've got people who are just ranging around not shooting the barrier, if you've got like a Widowmaker and a Farah who won't be shooting the barrier quite so much, then you should be looking for moments when their team is distracted enough for you to come in and sledgehammer through. That's when you're really looking to just like walk up to their Reinhardt and then charge him, and just get him out the way. Don't be afraid also to just take a couple of cheeky swings at him. It rests your barrier while dealing damage to him and his, so it's worth doing. If the Fire and Reaper had been a little bit more successful, would there have been a better tank to go to, or would it be better to stick to it? Stick it out and leave it to the DPS. I'd honestly say no, because they have a Reinhardt. And if you don't have a Reinhardt to deal with it, then you got problems. Maybe you could, actually, maybe that would have been a good opportunity to try Orisa. Like, maybe that would have worked there. Because she's actually not too bad against Reaper. If you use Fortify and have your armor still, Reaper can't really hurt you that much. If you lose Fortify, then you're in trouble. But you're also good at like pulling him around. So maybe Orisa could have worked there and just used the barriers to cut off their Reinhardt a little bit. Then you could help a little bit with some of the damage. You could stop their heroes getting away quite so much. Might have been a good opportunity for that. Otherwise, I'd say what they really needed was a second healer as well. It just would make life so much easier if they had an Ana, for example, to sleep dart the Farah or Reaper when they tried anything, to provide quick burst healing with the grenade when Reaper comes in, to anti-heal the Reaper, to shoot the Farah. Having a solo healer, no wonder she's going to get flanked, dived, and killed. She can't stop all the damage coming in, and stop the damage coming from the tanks and the Roadhog at the same time. So, like, I'd say the second healer was honestly the bigger loss there. In team lineups where they go very heavy dive and it's like Genji Tracer, then Winston is obviously a good pick. Winston will obviously work better than Reinhardt. The problem with going Winston in that game was that they had Reaper and Roadhog, and so the Winston wouldn't have done much. How do I not play Reinhardt? I don't want to be like Sea Surfer. You don't go AFK when a res goes off when you have Earthshatter. That's the biggest advice I can give you. Is holding your shield up against a flanking ulting soldier a good idea, or should you focus on the front line? It's a good idea. Nothing is going to deal more DPS than that soldier. Unless, like, I'd say the only exception is if they have a Reinhardt with Earthshatter available, but even then I'd say it's still worth blocking it. because then you at least get the Earthshatter out as well. Otherwise, your team's just all going to die behind you. Like, if your team has no way of stopping the soldier coming in and killing everyone, like, let's say he's on high ground and just shooting down, turn and block it. It's the largest source of damage on their team, and it forces them to use more resources. And you're basically saying, no, you don't get to use your ultimate soldier. And then if they Earthshatter you, okay, you got 2 ults. Because the alternative then is that you just keep facing forward, and then your entire team dies behind you, and then you die, and they use 1 ult. So you're forcing them to use more. So I'd say definitely block it. I think the notification screwed up for one of our newest... Oh, did it? Subs. Yeah, wow, that hasn't gone through on Twitch alerts. Hello, welcome. I'm sorry, Lemonade Senpai. I think it came up and gave the wrong name. Was the name Just, maybe? Or Summers? Or was it Bundy Zero? I'm not sure, but welcome, Lemonade Senpai. I'm sorry that didn't pop up. It's weird. I'm not sure why that would happen. Did you do a name change recently? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it on Twitch. It is appreciated though. Welcome to the many. Make sure you guys who are subbing joining the Discord. If you link Twitch in the Discord, you get a fancy pants purple name. You get to use my emotes on Discord as well, which is great because you want to use Ohm Love as much as you can, or you want to have a stupid face Sombra, or you want to have Team, which is honestly my favorite. Which is the Lucio holding a sign saying Team, and he looks very sort of which is great. If you pick Reinhardt trying to defend your people but no one is actually using it, even in defense is better to switch than forcing it. Still happens in plat. The first thing you should definitely be trying is like, hey guys, just stand behind my barrier a bit more. Like, we got a barrier, let's use it. And just like a gentle reminder of, just stay behind the barrier. You know, just soldier, just stay behind the barrier. And the way that I phrase it is honestly like kind of important as well. I generally like joke about it a little bit and go, soldier man, I'm worried about you. Just stay behind my barrier. I care about you. I don't want to see you hurt. Just stay behind my barrier, man. And it relaxes people. It makes it, it's not like, soldier, what the fuck are you doing? Get behind my barrier. Like, if you do that, he's just gonna go, oh, fuck this guy. And he's just gonna ignore it. Well, if you go, soldier man, I'm scared. I'm worried about you. You could get hurt out there. Just stay behind my barrier. You can still shoot people. You can still have a good time. If you want to go forward, just let me know. And I'll see if we can advance forward. But just stay behind the barrier, man, and you'll be surprised how well that works. If they keep doing, if you've got like a team like, you know, Genji, Tracer, Farah, and they're all just jumping 3 miles ahead, then sure, fuck it, whatever, don't go Reinhardt, go Winston, go Zarya, go Diva, go something that can go with them and protect them, but don't go Reinhardt if no one on your team, if like Mercy's flying a fire around in the sky, Sombra's in the back of the enemy line, you've got a Lucio who's sprinting forward with the new Lucio buffs and the DPS going, hey, woohoo, and shooting people and jumping on walls. And it's like, yeah, what the fuck am I doing here? Then change to something a little bit more versatile, Zarya, Winston, all a little bit more versatile, a little bit more varied. Is it always about time to have a crap load of limbs as Rein? Not necessarily. Reinhardt gets some pretty good eliminations. If you get like good Earthshatters, you'll get a lot of limbs. Fire Strike goes through a lot of people quite often, so you'll get limbs that way. You've just got to remember, like, eliminations is you hitting someone once and then that person dying in a relatively near time frame. It's why Diva generally has a huge amount of eliminations, because she just has to rake her guns across the entire enemy team, and the one damage that she does counts as elimination. So it's like, okay, I contributed. High eliminations is not something to be worried about. High damage is, unless the team is like, unless the fights are super clusterfucky and brawly, then you can kind of explain it away when like everyone's just packed into small areas and you're just swinging. Like one Reinhardt swing can conceivably do 6 times 75 damage, which is 150 times 4. No, 150 times 3, so 450 damage. Which is a lot per swing, one hit. That's pretty fucking good, I think you'll find. So yeah, it's no surprise that he can do a lot of damage. Almost, please, Josh. What? Infra? Was he hoping that I answered the question? Is that what you're doing? I don't know. Is it not better to ignore the fact that Zarya could barrier a fire strike? Gives a little charge that wears up before the next barrier and denies support's ult charge. Is it not more important to pay attention for the barrier in case of pins? The thing is, if the Zarya is timing her barriers correctly, you'll have enough charge built up from that it's still going to work. And generally, she can get some more charge out of some other damage coming in. Like, especially because what you'll notice on first engagement very often is Zarya, and I do this all the fucking time, is when the Reinhardt's coming in, I will barrier the Reinhardt, our Reinhardt, as he fire strikes, and then someone else will also be shooting the Reinhardt as well. So it's like, I get charge off my barrier, and if I stagger it a tiny bit, then I still maintain a high charge as well. I will get charge off the Reinhardt, and I'll get a little bit of bonus charge off the Reinhardt anyway. And I'll honestly generally be standing relatively near my Reinhardt, so I can just poke forward in front of his barrier, still take a little bit of extra damage. You got to be very careful with stuff like that. A good idea, honestly, if you're worried about feeding supports charge and you're worried about Zarya barrier, is shoot and aim. Let me try and draw this in first person view. So let's say we're attacking on King's Row, okay? No, let's not use blue for that. Let's use red. Okay, and this is like the one edge of the choke, and then this is the other edge of the choke, and you've got like the fountain here. Okay, so Mondata's up here with his legs. Little girl here or something. Their Reinhardt is over this way. Let's make him yellow. And he's sort of in the distance over here, and this is their Reinhardt. And he's over here, and he's got his little pointy head, and apparently a baseball cap. But he's got his shield and he's got his hammer. Okay, this is Reinhardt. And what you'll notice on King's Row, for example, is there's like a little thing that pokes out here as well. This is actually a pretty good drawing, I think. If you aim the fire strike here, very often a Zarya will try and catch it, and you'll just hit the wall here. You can do this on like Dorado as well. You just aim for a wall near where the Reinhardt is, and you just bait out the barrier. And then suddenly they won't have barrier, and you will have barrier on your team. You can advance forward, and you can do whatever you like. You can start sort of taking more liberties because you know that she can't stop a charge. Zarya bubbles and Reinhardt is like it's something you've got to be paying attention to because it does determine, can I fire strike? It's less important with the fire strike. It is more important. You are right to say when you're looking to charge, does the Zarya have a bubble up? Because if he does, then chances are it's not a good charge. And a grenade is another one you really want to be watching for with charges. But in general, you also want to you will feel good hitting fire strikes because you'll be building up your Earthshatter. And if you can generally get like through them, if you hit one Zarya bubble but still hit 3 people, it's worth it. Like, because you've just built up a shitload of Earthshatter, and Earthshatter is a game-winning move. So, very good idea to build it up. In this case, you go on back here and it feels good. I'm actually a little bit proud of this drawing. I think you can recognize it as King Row, hopefully. I don't know, maybe. Right. Captain Katz was asking for tips on baiting enemy rise to Earthshatter. Okay, that's a good... Sorry if I miss it. Sometimes I will miss them. So when you put the barrier up, basically like... When you're face-to-face with an enemy Reinhardt, if you swing, you can actually cancel a swing by barriering. And the barrier will take a split second to come up, but it's definitely faster than Earthshatter. So if you just swing and swing and swing and swing, it's not a bad idea to keep doing it. And just go and swing and then wait for him to an animation, bring the barrier up. And odds are it'll make that Reinhardt so nervous he won't be able to actually do something. Sometimes the Reinhardt will swing back, in which case you just put your barrier up still, because you've seen an animation start, and he's taken his barrier down, so you put yours up. And you'll take a hit, sure, but you know that an Earthshatter's not coming through. So if he tries it again, then fine. And you could kind of keep doing that, and you just keep tapping him, and it's like bapping him on the nose. You're going, bap, 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 come on, do something, 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 do, you gotta do something now, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. And then he goes, oh my god, and then you go, whoomp, and nothing happens. And it works. It's just make sure that you are keeping your barrier available, and don't commit to a fire strike, because you cannot cancel fire strike, you cannot cancel charge. The one thing I will say as well is that when your barrier breaks, that's when you've got to make a decision and go for like a charge or something and just hope, because there's nothing you can really do. And he's watching like a hawk for your barrier to go down. In general, I'd just say, yeah, just make sure that your barrier's in the right place to block them, and you will generally catch them just naturally. If my team isn't standing behind my Rhino barrier, should I switch tanks? I've kind of answered this already. Which tank would you suggest in order of importance? Good follow-up question, just to reiterate, like Winston, if you've got a very aggro comp, you could conceivably go Orisa if you've got more mid-range. Now you have that option available to you, though I'd be wary of doing it. Again, the first thing you should try is just bringing your team back together and just trying to sort of corral them a bit. Zarya isn't a bad pick, but I'm wary of like Zarya Roadhole picks now that teams are a lot more experienced, and like you're opening up their Reinhardt for so much strength that you want some kind of barrier. Let's see. Reinhardt is apparently a Dom. Thank you, Reinhardt. Thank you, Reinhardt. Let's see. Thought on Earthshatter animation. Should it stop after it reaches a barrier? Ideally, like it would be nice if the animation actually like fizzled out when it hits a barrier so you can see what blocked it. It would just be a nice visual indicator as well. It would feel less frustrating for the Reinhardt to be able to clearly see, oh, this blocked it. Yeah, that would be a nice little visual update, but hey. Here's one. What are your thoughts on playing Rein against the rising dive meta? Is Rein necessary to keep when your backline is constantly getting picked off? The way that you play Reinhardt against that is you play much more aggressive. You just try and block individual instances of damage and then hit them with the swing. Like Genji and Tracer both rely on avoiding damage, right? They both rely on avoiding getting hit. So if you have a big, reliable way of dealing damage and you just stand in front of a support and just smack them every time they try and hit it, then you effectively nullify a lot of what they're trying to do. Reinhardt is also very good at stopping Dragon Blade, which is very important in dive. You're also very good at pinning Winston. So once Winston is jumped, if you can get a pin on him, you deal a shitload of free damage. You can kill the Winston basically for free. The big thing is just to keep in mind that your job is going to be less protecting the team and more discouraging Winston, Tracer, and Genji. And that's how you've got to be thinking. And you are less likely to have your barrier up for long periods of time. You're just bringing it up to stop 3 shurikens coming in, bringing it back down, hitting someone, bringing it back up to block a shot, bringing it back down. Tracer's sharking around. She's looking for, she's built up an ultimate clearly, so let's keep the barrier up. And a good tip about Tracer, actually, with pulse bombs. If Tracer puts a bomb on your barrier, drop the barrier and then bring it back up instantly, and the bomb will drop off the barrier, and then just aim the barrier at the ground, and you'll block it. That stops what happens sometimes, where the Tracer will come in from behind, put the barrier on the inside of your shield, and you'll take a shitload of damage. It very clearly will mean that you drop the barrier, the bomb will hit the floor, and then you put the barrier back up. Same is true for sonar arrows. If a sonar arrow hits your shield, drop the barrier for a second, then bring it back up, because you're dropping the sonar arrow onto the floor. It's actually like a projectile lodged onto the barrier itself. The engine actually does that. So drop the barrier and it will drop the sonic arrow, and that way you are not giving extra information by just moving back, for example, with it. It's a very good idea. In that game, would you have stayed on Rhino SWAT when Reaper and Pharah started flanking? In that game, I would have been doing my tree because we've got a solo healer trying to deal with all that. And we really needed something else to help with it. That would probably be my biggest issue in that game. I would probably have stayed on the Reinhardt though. I would have just played a lot more carefully and just made sure that I was tucked in with my team a lot more. And then whenever the Reaper tries to come in, try and turn around, maybe flick my barrier, block a single shot of his, and then flick it back to the front. But you just got to be so careful about what the enemy Reinhardt is doing. I'm so intimidated to play Rein now. Don't be too intimidated. As long as you're putting your barrier in front of targets taking damage, you're generally doing a good thing. Regarding the defense setup, if you have Symmetra, 1 heal, 1 DPS, it's better to choose another DPS or a support like Zen. Both of them work. I'd say both work. I'd say that when you start getting to higher levels, solo support is viable. But you want to have Mercy or Ana, generally Ana, just because she puts out enough healing. And you generally want to have a very self-sustained team. So you generally see Symmetra paired with Ana, Roadhog, Reinhardt, Soldier. Notice that, Roadhog looks after himself, Soldier looks after himself, Reinhardt has 2,000 hit point barrier, and Symmetra, Ana, Roadhog, Reinhardt, Soldier, and then usually something else, like some flex DPS. Could be anything. And yeah, that generally works out a lot better. So you can have McCree, you could have Pharah, you could have Genji if you're feeling bold. You generally have something else damagey. Generally, I'd say Genji, Tracer, not bad pickups, just because they can go pick up health packs on their own a lot and stuff like that. Makes it a lot easier. How would you counter Reinhardt that takes initiative on attacks? You just explained when you're playing defensive Rein. I would back away a little bit every time he tries to move forward and hit me, and then try and bait him into a position where I can get an easy charge on him, where I'm not going to be overextending as a result. Otherwise, I would be aggressively looking for opportunities to rest my shield, and basically, you've just got to take a moment to just pull back and rest your barrier up, and then when he starts pushing in, that's when remember when I talked about earlier with the drawing of when the Reinhardt starts pushing in, you're looking to get a good charge on him, looking to do that and looking to punish his approach in, get a fire strike, for example, when he's trying to run in while still resting my barrier, and then bring my barrier up, and try and take control that way. Basically try and out-damage their Reinhardt, and slow down his push, and then get my Earthshatter first and win off the back of that. Usually kind of how I try and approach it. think we're going to do one or two more questions. You missed my question again. It happens. You can't hold... Like, there's a lot of chat that happens, and it doesn't show up as a big red block anymore for some weird fucking reason. I always try and keep my shield up and play carefully, but if I'm myself always getting charged by enemy Rein and killed instantly, you might be a bit too close. If the enemy Reinhardt is charging you, countercharge it as well. Oftentimes it will work out for you. So just charge into it and force both of you to get stunned. Your team generally wins that, especially if he's like right in front of your team. Your team should just take initiative and kill theirs. Sometimes you'll lose that, like if Anna has grenade, for example, you can just lose that. Zarya barrier is another good example. If he's charging you and it's like pulling you back into your team, honestly, let him take it. Like, if he's going to charge you and he's going to leave him out of position, just let him do it. And then just hope that your healers are good enough to keep you alive and that your team will just kill their Reinhardt. Especially if your respawn is nearer. Raiding Reinhardt for Reinhardt is better for you. Regarding full hull barrier, when to swing. My roll time, if the barrier is full, keep it up. I'm on the right track. Not necessarily. If you can take a cheeky swing or two, just take it. Damage is damage, and it gets you an Earthshatter nice and quickly. And you generally just don't want to be taking unnecessary damage on the barrier. So if all that's coming through is like a little bit of a long-range poke from like a McCree and a Diva, feel free to bring it down, bap someone, and then pull it back up. Don't feel like held hostage by the 2,000 hit points. Be nice to see Surfer. We tease see Surfer because we love him. See Surfer is a wonderful human being. He's a lovely fluffy bunny rabbit. Let's do 2 more questions, because we've actually been going on questions for a long time. People have a lot of Reinhardt questions, it seems. The enemy has a nano-boosted Reinhardt that charges past you when you have Shatter. We ignore the Rein and shatter the rest of the team, or turn and shatter the Rein? Turn and shatter the Rein. Nano Boost is really good for a couple of reasons. One of them is it builds up your ultimate super fast as well. So what will happen is if you turn around and shatter their team, their Reinhardt will oftentimes just turn around and shatter yours. And he's nano boosted, so he wins. And yeah, that's bad news bears. Also, like, it's just a good way of shutting down the nano boost and making sure that no value happens off it, so that when your nano boost comes out, you can get a big counter swing. And you're like, it's part of why nano boosted Reinhardt and nano boosted Genji has a bit of a risk associated with it, because you can't keep a barrier in front of it like with Soldier. With nano boosted Genji, the best thing to do is put a Zarya barrier on him and send him in. Or as he's diving in, put a bubble on him so that Earthshatter can't just cock block him. And he will get 1 or 2 kills and then start dashing around and be really hard to deal with. Earthshatter is great for stopping Nano Boost. Well worth doing. Definitely hit the Nano Boost target. Okay, I think that will about do it with 1 more. I promised 2, didn't I? Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Anyone? We're all talking to each other. We talk about how much we respect. We did talk about how much we respect and love C-Surfer, right? Yes. Well, I just did anyway. What do you think about Overwatch Central's video about Reinhardt being broken? Rein is a very good friend of mine. He consulted with me on that video. Well, in the fact that we talk about Reinhardt all the fucking time. Reinhardt has a lot of issues. Earthshatter is very inconsistent. Charge is very inconsistent. I would love to see that ironed out and fixed up. Where charges just works consistently. Earthshatter, sometimes it goes through barriers. At times it feels like if Reinhardt's like standing on a payload or on a slope. It's very, very weird in terms of how it works at times. So it would be nice to just get that fixed up a little bit. When Earthshatter can win you the game, it's very worrying when Earthshatter does not work reliably. Like, let me put it that way. When you put your barrier up and the Earthshatter has gone through it, but because you've been standing on a curb or something and it's just gone past you, or you've been stood on the payload or whatever, and it goes round somehow and knocks down like the Mercy, and then the Mercy dies and you lose, it's like, what the fuck? You know, I've had Earthshatters land, I'm pretty sure, before, where like I've been stunned standing behind the Reinhardt and the Reinhardt hasn't been stunned himself. And it's just like, how has that happened? So it's very strange in terms of how it works. It'll be nice to see that fixed, because he's so important. Earthshatter is so important. Charge is so important. Getting it consistent is important. And Brian is quite right in saying that the hook is very sort of visible when you've hooked someone and they've gone around a corner, but you pulled them anyway. It's like a very visible thing happens where you've been pulled and then you've been pulled around a corner. But with Reinhardt, it's less immediately noticeable when you've Earthshattered and it feels like it should have hit, but it hasn't for some reason, and it's all a bit awkward. Or like the charge feels like it should have landed, but it's instead knocked the person 3 miles into the sky, and then their Reinhardt's done a fucking 360 and then come down and Earthshattered you. It's like, what the fuck? And yeah, it would be nice for that to be fixed. Okay, that's honestly a good point for me to stop with the questions. I'm going to scroll all the way down. All the way down. Okay. Like Ryan says, it's more of a shit hook, more of a dodgy hook gets one kill, a dodgy Earthshatter can win a game, basically, yeah. Okay. Let's go. So if you do want to send footage in, please do send footage in to Coaching the Many. You send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank that the game was played, and a little bit of a spiel in the email about the game. Include a link to a YouTube video or something. This is a YouTube video, for example. It works perfectly fine. Even though this one was low bitrate, it's still good enough. As long as it's visible and we can see it, as long as it's like it doesn't have too loud music blaring in the background or something as well. Just try and avoid that if possible. Would be nice. And yeah, include it in the title as well if you're a Twitch subscriber or not. Twitch subscribers have a little bit more priority in terms of being picked for Coaching the Many. This wasn't a Twitch sub, but the game, like the email text was so good and had like such a clear, crisp question about something very important with Reinhardt that I felt, yeah, this is probably a good game to look at. I looked at it and hey, what do you know? Pretty good game to look at. Feels good. And yeah, otherwise feel free to join us on Twitch at twitch.tv/ESL_OneAmongstMany. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but I'm sure you guys can figure it out. I'm pretty sure you're intelligent enough to figure all that out, and I'm sure there's a link in the description below anyway. 10 PM BST, that's British Standard Time. Fridays and Saturdays. Come by and join us live and join the chat. They're nice enough people, mostly, except Infra 4. He's a bit of a dick, especially to C-Server, who we love, because C-Server's a long-time sub. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching to the end. I've been Josh, one voice amongst many. Toodles.